Before we get into today's Tennessee Titans video, reminder, the majority of you do not have your notifications set to all, meaning every time we do a new Titans video, you may or may not get a push notification sent to your phone. Let's get that changed. Where you first subscribe, that little bell icon, click it again. Change it from personalize, the default setting, to all. That way, every time there's a new Titans video, you'll be part of the Noti gang here at Chat Sports and get a push sent right to your phone. Let's jump right into the latest on Treylon Burks, as the report from ESPN is that he should be ready in time for training camp after much of the drama, I'll call it, around Burks missing time in OTAs and minicamp due to maybe some playbook issues. We know some asthma concerns, some alleged conditioning stuff, because it wasn't just asthma, I don't think, that was costing Burks a bunch of time at OTAs and minicamp. Now, Burks is expected to be ready for camp after missing that time in OTAs and minicamp, with the hope and the expectation that he makes a significant impact. Now, the training camp start for Tennessee is just around the corner. That is inside of a week away. And like most teams, the Titans are going to have their rookies report early. They show up on July 23rd, then the rest of the vets report on July 26th. There won't be that much going on for the rookies, but it's more time for conditioning, install, etc., get them acclimated to life in the NFL. Remember, Mike Vrabel kept the rookies behind after minicamp to get them acclimated to the strength and conditioning program. Maybe it was just too hot and humid in Nashville. Very possible, but Burks played at Arkansas, so I think he should be fine there. Here's what Burks has had to say about his whole process acclimating to life in the NFL. Quote, "I'm just taking it one day at a time, and everything else will take care of itself. Everyone is going to have setbacks. It's just how you come back and attack it." Now, the expectation, and I'll call it the need, for Tennessee and for Burks is a significant impact. He needs reps in camp. He needs reps in the preseason. He needs to build chemistry with quarterback Ryan Tannehill, because the Titans need him on this team. Robert Woods, veteran coming back from injury, should be a good player. Burks is the first-round pick. You trade away your star receiver in A.J. Brown, with your other next best receiver being Nick Westbrook-Akina. You spend a first-round pick on Burks. Even if he's not nearly as good as A.J. Brown in year one, you need him to be an upwards of 800-yard receiver. Otherwise, it's going to be too much of a loss offensively if Burks is not emerging. Now, when he had the ball in his hands at Arkansas, much like A.J. Brown at Ole Miss, Burks was dynamic, an after-the-catch nightmare, tackle-breaking machine, dynamic player. There are some route tree adjustments that he has to acclimate to, but the hype around Burks has been there. He's a very talented football player. He slid a little bit more in the draft than some thought relative to where the receivers were taken. Tennessee needs him to make a big-time impact this year. So what is your confidence level in Treylon Burks? Sound off for me in the comment section by scaling this from 1 to 100. I'm going to make this question the pinned comments on today's video. So if the ad break happens to come here on YouTube, that is perfect timing. Simply take advantage of the ad break by heading down to the pinned comment and rating your confidence level in Treylon Burks from 1 to 100. The ad break comes right now. Go do it for me here on YouTube. Let's talk Derrick Henry now, as ESPN looked at 13 different MVP candidates based on previous winners. And they were looking at, this guy did this guy did that, like kind of archetypes overall, relative to the positions and their styles. And they picked Derrick Henry as one of them, with a comp to Adrian Peterson back in 2012, kind of looking for something similar from that standpoint. Both guys coming off of injuries and should be the core part of that running attack. Here's what ESPN and Bill Barnwell wrote. Now, presumably back to 100% for 2020, 2022, Henry should be restored as the focal point of the Tennessee offense, especially after the organization shipped A.J. Brown to the Eagles. With a 17th game on the schedule and a coaching staff happy to hand him historic rushing opportunities, Henry could do the one thing Peterson failed to do in 2012, top Eric Dickerson's 2,105 yards and set the single-season rushing record. We'll spend some more time on this, but first, will Derrick Henry win NFL MVP in 2022? Sound off for me in the comment section. Y for yes, N for no, and while you guys are down there, make sure you're subscribed. We know the majority of you who watch this show are not actually subbed. Help us reach that 5,000 subscriber mark by training camp. It's a high goal. Not sure we can get there. Let's see what we can do. Hit that big red button and subscribe right now. Now, from a volume perspective, ESPN is right. The Titans are not afraid to give Derrick Henry a significant workload. They did so in 2020 when he was not that far away from breaking the single season mark from of Eric Dickerson. And his 2020 numbers are not that different than the year Adrian Peterson won NFL MVP. 2012, way back when, coming off the injury, was unbelievably good. 2,000 yards on 348 carries, an unbelievable 8-yard per carry average, fewer touchdowns than Derrick Henry had that one season, or I should say in 2020. I do think in the modern day NFL, if you're going to win NFL MVP, I think you have to set the single season mark. Otherwise, it's just not how voters operate anymore. So with that in mind, predict for me. How many yards will Derrick Henry have in 2022? We could on the over-under, but I want a specific number for you guys. How many yards do you think Derrick Henry will put together this upcoming season? Let's go to Elijah Molden now. As ESPN/PFF, it was kind of a PFF article for ESPN Insider. It's weird, I know. With the top 15 breakout candidates entering their second year, and they picked Molden as the number 11 player. Now, he flashed as a third-round rookie. I liked him a lot coming out of Washington, so unsurprisingly, I am all aboard this idea. Here was the pitch from PFF. As a rookie, Molden finished with the 12th most stops of any defender when lined up in the slot, despite playing just the 18th most snaps there. We want to have a breakout from a fame perspective because of the position he plays. That's nickel corner. Titans fans will recognize his impact. We'll go more in depth here on Molden momentarily. But first, I want you guys to name a player who you think breaks out in 2022. Is it Molden? Is it Caleb Farley, who could also fit that category, but surprised wasn't on that list? Drop a name or names if you want to be an overachiever right now for me in the comments section. From a pure tackling perspective, as a nickel corner, Molden checks off that box quite nicely. He has always been a good tackler, and that's important for the nickel corner role, where more and more you're sometimes asked to play a key role as it relates to run stopping. He also had 6 pressures as a blitzer, and he did miss 9 tackles, a little bit high, although 62 is a lot for a corner, so it's not like you're missing 9 tackles while having 30, like some corners. You're missing 9 against 62. He is still overall a good tackler, despite being listed at 5'10", he's a little bit closer to 5'9". Now, coverage-wise, where I want to see the next step for Molden. In general, not always, but in general, you will find that nickel corners end up allowing a higher percentage of completions than other guys because it's a shorter target. Like, it's easier to complete a 5-yard pass for 6 yards than it is a 15-yard pass for 16 yards, right? So you just allow a higher percentage comp-wise. The yards are still pretty solid at 48.9, a little bit high on the per-target number, but not terrible there. The average of target was 6.6, so a lot of short stuff there. 3 touchdowns allowed, a little bit high. 1 INT, 4 pass breakers. Remember, he was a rookie, and there's plenty of upside for Elijah Molden. I have said this before, and I'm going to stick by it. This Titans cornerback room, among young ones, i.e. not the groups with a bunch of veterans on there, but all these guys are on their first contract. I don't think there's a better young cornerback room in the NFL. I'm a huge Christian Fulton fan. Farley was my guy coming out of Virginia Tech. I was higher than most on Elijah Molden and Roger McCreary, and Tennessee's got them all. All 4 of these guys I was higher on than the consensus. So I am excited to see what they can do this upcoming season. Hopefully Molden is not the only one to break out. I'm looking at you over there, Caleb Farley. Folks, if you have not already, please do me a favor and subscribe at youtube.com/Titans Today. And links in the comments in the description, but you're watching on YouTube, so just click that big red button right now.